It's not often that you get to hear directly from a former Michigan player about things that maybe you had questions about. And that's what we're going to do today. We're bringing on our quarterback, Mr. Tuttle, right here on this episode of Locked On Wolverines.
You are Locked On Wolverines, your daily podcast on the Michigan Wolverines, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Happy Wednesday. We are back and doing it. Locked On Wolverines podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, where it's your team every day. I'm your man on the ground, Isaiah Hole, publisher of Wolverines Wire through USA Today Sports Media Group. You might note, Jack, that I decided to go even further with, in the pocket with Jack Tockett. This time I said with our quarterback instead of saying in our quarterback Jack, to give people that fun little rhyme. I took that away too. We're just going to take it all away.
You're just restricting the names. You're not allowing the Jack Tuttle in the huddle. It's actually hilarious at this point. It's been going on the whole season, so I get a kick out of it.
So you're instead of saying it's my quarterback, either we can go, that's my quarterback, Mr. Tuttle, or we could go, that's my signal caller, Jack. Like I've got all kinds of variations to get away from the rhyme scheme. Anyway, thank you to everyone out there who's making us your first listen. Thank you to all of our everydayers. We do appreciate that. We're just taking your questions this entire time. It's the second straight mailbag in one way or another, but this is a little different because you get to actually hear directly from Jack Tuttle about what he about the questions that are a little bit deeper, a little bit different. And just like in the Michigan mailbag, I put the leaders in best first, front and center, right? They deserve it. They're every single week. So let's start with James Crudup at James Crudup 6. Jack, do you think that the protection and receiver drops have significantly impacted how Bryce has played? If you're coaching him, how do you get him to limit the happy feet and trust the protection again?
Yeah, so when you're at the quarterback position, and obviously I think the protection is more of an issue than the drops. You obviously see a drop pass and you're like, you get a little agitated or annoyed. But look, that's your teammate. You're going to go pick him back up. At the end of the day, you're not going to stop slinging the ball and feeling confident in yourself because of a drop. In my opinion, I don't think Bryce would either. Obviously, you're going to have to work on that stuff and get with the receivers and give them confidence if anything. The protection issues now, yeah, that's 100% an issue when it's happening, because you're standing in the pocket and you get through your first or second read and you're like, oh, crap, like, do I have to go? Do I have to run? You tense up a little bit because you feel your inner clock, your inner timer go off, where you feel like, okay, maybe I have 2 seconds before I get absolutely clocked by this 6'7", 300-pound defensive end. So there's times where, you probably can see it in Bryce's play. He's panicking a little bit, or not even. Don't want to say Bryce is panicking, but quarterbacks panic when protection breaks down and they're constantly, they're paranoid a little bit, and that can definitely affect how fast or correctly a quarterback goes through his reads, and can obviously cause him to miss reads at times. And just let me paint a picture for you real quick. You've been getting clocked all game. You're getting hurried. You're getting hit. You get into the third or fourth quarter. And at this point, you're like, well, I can't take a sack. Like, the game's on the line. So he may miss something. He may run faster than staying in the pocket and get to that fourth read, which could be open. And it's hard playing quarterback, as we've said before at the beginning of the season, because you're sitting in that gauntlet. You're sitting in that pocket. You got freaking towers all around you. 6'6", 6'7", 300-plus pound offensive lineman. You got big defensive lineman trying to kill you, right? So you're sitting in there. You can barely 60% of the time. I'd say 60% of the time you can see. 40% of the time you can't. It's literally you're just seeing helmets. You're seeing windows. There's a lot of stuff going on, and on top of that, you have protection issues. Guys literally on you nonstop. Yeah, that 100% has an effect on him. And if I'm coaching him. And this is how I was coached in high school and the start of college, to build his, confidence back up. One, you need to fix the protection. and find ways to get rid of the ball faster. So you start with easy, nice throws, like compliment throws for him where you're getting the ball out fast, quick game stuff, RPOs, nice and easy. And you just start building him up slowly. And that at the end of the day will build him up to the point where he feels confident and drop back again. And it takes time, right? It's going to take several plays to build him up to that point, right? And that was a great question because yes, and I'd say more protection than drops, but yeah, it does affect him, and they're going to have to build him back up slowly or just get this protection right now.
That's been one of the big things Connor's been harping on, because the protection has been there for the most part in terms of it working, but Bryce's inner clock in the last couple of games has certainly been accelerated. So they need to figure out how to get all of them on the same page. Let's go with Josh Barr at Jadicke to continue the leaders and best. We often hear that most players make the biggest leap from their freshman to sophomore years, but what makes it so hard to improve during the season itself?
Yeah, I think there is improvement during the season, but like, I think the biggest thing and the biggest hurdle during the season is these coaches are game planning like 18 hours a day. You are in the office for 18, 19 hours a day, game planning against Big Ten opponents who almost every week are playing at a high level and are coming to beat you, or you have to go to their place and beat them. That's what they're worried about most of the time. And obviously you're watching film, you have specialized coaches okay, here's what you need to do in practice, but you can't fundamentally get into, hey, your footwork, you don't want to mess with footwork, throwing mechanics, anything like that during the season, because you already have enough to worry about with game planning and scouting opponents and dealing with reads. So, I would agree. Yeah, a lot of players make their biggest jump from freshman to sophomore year. Some take a little bit longer, but it's hard to improve individually during a season because everyone is focused on just winning the next game, right? And just mentally being able to read a defense and do that stuff rather than, okay, footwork, fundamentals, stuff like that. I do think Bryce is mentally going to get better during the season. There's no doubt about it. He has to, and he's going to. So in that aspect, I would say he is going to keep improving, but fundamentally and maybe footwork, there's other things going on. That's just hard to fix. There's too much going on.
Apologies for any stray audio text sounds. I can't stop it, even though I closed the program from going to my computer. When I have a guest on, I can't turn the sound off like I do at a regular show. Anyway, so good stuff there. We got plenty more to get to. Jack, we've got 4 more questions over the course of the show. We're going to get to those here in just a moment. But before we do, when the opening whistle blows on a new repair, you get your crew moving forward with Supply House. Order today and see parts on your doorstep tomorrow. Over 280,000 plumbing, HVAC, and electrical items from the most trusted brands in the business. The real-time inventory and honest lead times keep you from punting projects, while their industry-leading customer service always has your blind side covered. Need parts fast for a project? Supply House has next-day delivery. Talk about a game changer. The Part Finder tools and 3D schematics can save you hours on jobs where every detail matters. Their Trademaster perks also, like priority shipping and dedicated support, make the whole process a heck of a lot smoother. So join the free Trademaster program today and score serious perks like priority shipping, lower prices, and dedicated support lines. Visit supplyhouse.com to sign up for free and use the promo code SHCollege5 for 5% off your first order. That's supplyhouse.com. Real people, real service. All right, Jack, aside from my own distractions here, because I can turn off iMessage and it just doesn't matter. It just keeps going through. Phone's on silent, computer can't be. Apologies to everybody, but especially to you, Jack, because I don't want it to be distracting. Apparently, I've decided I'm unpopular, except for right now. Right now, super popular. We're going to continue on here. I just want to see one thing real quick. We've almost got this situated as I do my mailbag. So we're going to go into the Victors Valiant, as I call them, those who ask questions. Most of them actually ask questions every week. but the ones that were leaders and best, they've been asking questions since the beginning, 2018, beginning of the Locked On Wolverines podcast, your original senior year of college football back in 2018. I'm just going to keep using the same jokes every time. It's not changing. Great Bambino X at Colossus O'Cloud X. I feel like the passing game is close. There were many near misses versus Purdue. From your perspective, what could be running through Bryce's head during a game like that? And how does he stay the course, maintaining belief that they'll start to hit on those plays?
Yeah, that's another great question. And Isaiah, I feel like I got to retrace a little bit because I didn't maybe explain something well enough in the last question from Josh B. And to respect that question, I want to just explain that for like 10 seconds before I get into this next one. But when I said there's not enough time, people are probably thinking I'm crazy. Well, okay, there's obviously scouting. There's a bunch of stuff to do. When I say there's not enough time, and I'm talking about the coaches and the players watch the previous film from the last week's game, right? They go over it once and they have to watch it because they're focused on the next team and next game. In the offseason, you do see big improvement because coaches are able to go through that film the whole season with them and slowly go through each play and say, okay, this is what you did wrong. Here's how you can be better. You can't do that in the season. There's too much going on. So I just wanted to hit on that quickly and it's clean that up. I don't know if I answered that well enough the first time, and apologies there. Getting into Bambino's question, I feel like the passing game's close, the near misses. Yeah, and to be honest, it's going to come with Bryce's improvement. We saw, I'm talking to multiple other Michigan alumni and we all watched the film. There are near misses, there are, misreads at times. And that's just going to come with Bryce playing. And, a lot of people think he's going to come out and be Superman right away. There are a lot who kind of understand he's a freshman. It's just going to come with time and improvement. You may not want to hear it. You may accept it either way. What's going to help him out is just building him up slowly. Like I said before, that's how a quarterback's built. JJ McCarthy wasn't forced into where he has to play every single snap his freshman year. He had Cade McNamara, right? And he was placed into situations where that was advantageous to him, like where he could use his legs and he was able to dip his toe in that way. And then, do play action situations where he knew who he was probably going to throw to a couple of times. So he was able to dip his toe in, get his feet wet that first year, and then go through an off season where he's learning that film, going over every single play, watching Cade's film, probably say, hey, I could do that better. Or Cade did that thing well. I'm going to take that from him. So Bryce didn't get that. He got a spring ball. Okay, guys, it's a spring ball. Let's be honest. This is a full season right now, and he is just getting thrown into it. And yeah, he's close on things, and they just have to continue building him up. It's tough. It's a true freshman quarterback, and they got to keep building him up.
Yeah, it's and I think it doesn't help people like me who come out and parrot things from people who, whether it's you from having seen Bryce in practices or Connor who's seen Bryce in practices. And then I come on independent of everything and do not manage expectations, even though I think one of the purposes of this show for me is and it's one of those things I had learned when I worked in Hollywood. Darren Bogosian, who came over from CAA to United Talent Agency, I worked for him for about 9 months to a year. I don't remember exactly. He said that one of the big rules of agenting is you manage people's expectations. So that's one of the things that I've tried to carry forward. I don't always do a good job on shows like this because sometimes I get carried away with I hear something you tell me yeah, he's
legit.
Already, it's like
he can throw the ball he could throw the ball over a mountain and into the sky, and it turn into a fireball and just go in the atmosphere. Bryce has that talented of an arm, right? He's a super talented kid. He's athletically gifted. And the problem is you can be all those things, but it's just the mental part of the game. It's fast. The Big Ten, it moves really fast. It's a faster tempo than high school. It's none of the other physical things are wrong with him. It's just he's slowly learning the game, and When's the last time, a true freshman played every single snap for Michigan? I don't even know that.
Chad Henne.
And how was he his freshman year? I don't know. Maybe he was
pretty good, but he had a Braylon Edwards to throw to, senior Braylon Edwards, and really good offensive line, and freshman Mike Hart. But
it's a young team. Yeah, it is. It is a young team like this year, and so there was another question like that, which was funny, asking me the difference between this year's team and 23, maybe, but just young.
James Kovalevsky at coach_Kovo. What percentage of plays pre-snap would you say coaches want you to get the ball to a particular receiver versus reading a concept and getting it to the open man?
Yes, and that's I'm just going to say it now. It's a lower percentage in college football. Maybe in high school it's different. But, it's not going to be for sure a lot of the time where a coach is going to say, you better throw to him, or you need to throw to him right here. Sometimes it does happen, or it's man coverage and it's a matchup you like. So you just hold the safety and you throw to your matchup that's advantageous to the offense. But that's a okay percentage. That happened maybe 10, 15-ish, where if a team's in heavy man coverage, you get that more during a game. But if it's zone coverage, you can't really lock on to a receiver unless it's free access where a corner is off 10 yards and you're throwing a snap route, which is like a 9-stop. It's hard to do that at this, because you can have underneath droppers, you can have safeties, spreading out, clouding the boundary and taking away that receiver. It's hard to do that, to say, okay, you are absolutely, without a doubt, throwing him this ball. And, it just doesn't happen unless it's a screen, a play design. We did that a little bit with Roman Wilson and Cornelius Johnson in 23. Maybe they do it sometimes with motions, and maybe, I don't know how well, or not well, but how much they do it this year, where they send a guy in motion. It's like a short motion or an across the field motion where they're setting him up to be the primary read in that play, where it's a trail route, or, we're sending him in motion to get him off of press and then run an over route. And we like that matchup. We're probably going to take it, but you also have these two options just in case he gets bullied at the line or falls down. It's never for sure you're taking this, without a doubt. Unless, man, or there's not a whole lot of certainties in college football. I'd say there's never nevers, or always is in the game. So, but
right on.
Good to talk about.
All right, we've got two more. We're going to get to those here in just a moment. But before we do, the NBA is back, and there's no better place to get in on the action than FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of the NBA. Even if you missed the start of the game or want to ride that hot hand, FanDuel has live bets on everything from who will score next to fourth quarter comebacks. Plus, you can even combine your live bets into a same-game parlay for a shot at a bigger payout. It keeps every game exciting, especially when your team's making that late push. Right now, FanDuel is giving new customers $300 in bonus bets when your first $5 bet wins. So head to FanDuel.com to sign up now and play your game with FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of the NBA. This is so weird to me, Jack, because I'm used to doing the mailbag. I read it and I sit there and answer, and it's like, then you're just sitting there going, and it's your answers, while I understand them, are some of them are above my pay grade, so it's funny.
Well, I say, obviously, if you have a question about something, other people may have a question. So if you do, then, and I don't clarify, I want you to ask me, because sometimes I get in that player mode and I just start talking about.
I understand everything you're saying. Is just more of like, yeah, that makes sense. I could have never said exactly that, right? Type of thing. So.
You do a great job. I'm giving you kudos. I'm done.
Oh, thank you. I'll send you that check later today for saying that. Let's continue on with Victor's Valiant. We've got one that isn't a part of the club, so to speak, for the Michigan mailbag. But all right, Jacob Shavoria at Shavoria. You're a top 3 receiver in high school or the transfer portal. Give me your pitch to get me to go to Michigan and play under a Chip Lindsey offense. You maybe have some experience with this, maybe a little bit.
Yeah, maybe a little bit. And I'm going to just start it off and say, you wouldn't think an analyst would have to use Photoshop and these creative video platforms as much as they do, but they do. And recruiting is a real thing. And I did exactly what you asked this offseason. I was there for 7 months as the assistant receiver coach. We had to design, and create ways that were appealing to this young generation. And what is Michigan going to do? How are we going to turn it around from the bad 2024 year where we couldn't really throw the ball? Okay, so we go into the offseason, and I'm just going to shout out the last, assistant receiver coach who's there before me. He had a great base. He built a lot of stuff that just was awesome. He did a beautiful job, and it made my life a whole lot easier. And it was great to build on that. So we talked about, the quarterback. We talked about Bryce Underwood, Jaden Davis, Brady Schmeigel was kind of getting on that train at that point and was coming on an official. We talked about him. Okay, we have these young quarterbacks coming in. Chip Lindsey, we showed them video of his offense. We showed him the recruits Drake May and the concept. We compared his concepts and how it mixed into Michigan's offense and what that would look like. So I'd have to create cut-ups and video clips of what that may look like. And then it kind of gets into the cool part of recruiting, Isaiah, where it's like, oh, okay, how are we going to make this flashy and keep the attention of these young recruits, where it's different nowadays. I'm literally doing jersey swaps in Photoshop. I am literally in Photoshop doing jersey swaps of these kids in high school uniforms, creating like highlight tapes, video, and then also these PowerPoint slides of, okay, here's Bryce or whoever quarterback I chose to you. And it took hours. I think in May, I wasn't even just me. It was other analysts that we were there for like 18 hours, 19 hours doing this stuff because it just took forever. You have a lot of visits. So you have to do all that and appeal to, okay, this passing offense is going to improve. And that was the theme. And it has. It 100% has improved this year. Bryce is only going to keep getting better. We really leveraged that. And, Coach Lindsey's spread offense and how successful that was. And then, so you have all that. You have the highlight tapes and that leverage, and you can still use that now. There's also a funny recruiting story. Real quick, Isaiah. Mm-hmm. You also have okay, how well are you going to treat him? Is this a family? All this stuff. We're sitting at, there's times at restaurants where analysts are running 15, 20 minutes to get a pizza because some recruits, don't like, certain options, or everyone's from different states. I don't blame them for not liking that dinner option. Everyone's from different states. You got to just treat them at a high level. You got to, act like they're family, and they were. You do anything for them while they're on a visit. And you had to do things like that several times. So shout out to the support staff there. I think this past off season and the recruiting season, they did a phenomenal job, treating these recruits like they were family. And that's why you have so many of these young men committed. Great job of the supporting staff there. That's all you got to say. I got to be a part of it, and it was a grind, but it's not just coaching, Isaiah. A lot of people think I'm just sitting at the computer breaking down film, which I am, but you are us. Obviously, you're people wouldn't know that, but you're in Photoshop. You're doing crazy stuff, whatever it takes to get guys there. So it's pretty fun. Crazy though.
I've done jersey swaps before. Those aren't easy to do. And I don't think mine were that good. I haven't done one since, I think I did one for Michael Onwenu for signing day. It wasn't for him. It was for our site. It was for 24/7. Nonetheless, those are not easy things to do, and maybe a little easier now, but I don't always update myself with the Adobe Creative Suite as to things it can do.
Yeah. I'm not technologically I had to learn. It's the first time I really did it.
let me give you one example before we get to our last question. Mm-hmm. Sometimes people love the sound of the show. I get compliments. I also get I also get people who say negative things about it. Like you just can't make everyone happy. But like the way that I edit the show, so I record the show in Adobe Audition when we're not doing these live shows, but I do transfer this, the guest shows, the audio into Adobe Audition. And I've been doing that since 2018. And, like initially, I don't think I did anything kind of, like using any effects or anything of that nature. And now I have my stack of things that I do. Dynamics, which sometimes makes things sound a little weird with the auto gate because, it's like you try to get rid of all the sound, sounds so there's dead air when there's dead air, but you can hear like if my air conditioning is running while I'm talking, it makes it sound kind of weird, but it sounds better than noise reduction. Anyway, that's long winded, but I have that, then a graphic equalizer, and then I'd use a second compressor on there. And I would individually go and add something every single time, right? Like, and I've been doing that for years, whether it's my audio, your audio, until this weekend when I discovered that I could just create a preset and an effects rack and just once and it's done. So I say all that to say, like, I am technologically inclined, but to like keep up with the advancements of software, like I was still living in 2018 up until this week. I mean, literally this week. It was Sunday that I discovered that.
Oh, it's so good.
So, all right. Last question comes courtesy of Desmond at Upshaw D8. Biggest eye opener from his time at Michigan, concept or just reading defenses? What's something a coach said that made him say, I never thought about it like that? Yeah,
it's a great question. And, I've read that one, and obviously he asked for a concept or a read or something like that, a mental part of the game. When I came to Michigan in 23, I'd been playing college football for 15 years already. So
it was your 16th year. Yeah.
So the mental, like the reads or the concepts, I feel like I'd seen a ton of concepts. Nothing really surprised me at that point. The thing that really was an eye opener for me was having Coach Harbaugh as a coach. And I want to emphasize this because of how important it was to the quarterback room. He was in the quarterback room 99% of the time. He barely missed a meeting. He was in our meetings nonstop during the season and spring ball. He was constantly there with us. And it was just like a reassuring thing for me. It was an eye opener. Like, wow, I didn't know you could have a head coach in quarterback meetings this much, or he just understood the position. And it made things so much easier for the guys in the room because, you're standing behind, a tackle. You can't see a throw, so you progress and move on. He would be like, oh, yeah, I 100% get it. I was in that position. And I was like, oh, my gosh, like the amount of confidence that gave me and the other quarterbacks that year, it was so cool. And he would just be teaching us things. A lot of the stuff he taught me was just, attitude and mental stuff, when to run, when to not run. That was the stuff that was just completely eye-opening to me. And the fact that, my head coach at the time, Jim Harbaugh, could give me that much confidence just by being there with us every single day, knowing what we go through. And on game days, I felt like the most confident I've ever been, like when he was my coach, because I knew he was going to be right there with me when I came out, or when I went in, he was going to be right there with me. He knew what I saw or didn't see, and was very reasonable about it most of the times. And that was the coolest. I don't want to say coolest, but that was the most, it's just weird. It's hard to explain. It was the most confident I've ever been, at a quarterback playing in the pocket. So in the pocket, Isaiah. So
in the pocket with Jack Tockett, our signal caller.
Yeah, exactly. So I'm not going to say that that's not a concept or a read. Sorry if that didn't, give you exactly what you wanted, but it was an eye opener having that, and, gave me an extreme amount of confidence having him. Love him, miss him. So.
All right. Well, we'll, you should invite us to
the bowl.
Yeah, the bowl. I don't see why he hasn't. I'm a little sad that like we never got a goodbye, right? Like it's, like you might maybe did because you were a player, but like for us in the media who covered him, like until last year, my entire media career was spent covering Jim Harbaugh. So, yeah, I'm sure we'll see him again, but still. All right. Not to end on an emotional note, but that's it. That's all we got. Thanks to everyone for asking your questions. Thanks to Jack for joining, as he does every Wednesday, unless I flub it. We will be back on Thursday with Connor Stallions, and as we dig deep into the manifesto. Thank you so much to everyone. Talk to you soon. Peace.